Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to those attending and also to our viewers watching live on the Council's YouTube channel, Hillingdon, London. This is a meeting of the Property, Highway and Transport Select Committee. My name is Councillor Keith Burrows and I will be chairing this meeting. Details of the business to be considered today is shown on the agenda, copies of which are available in the room and also accessible on YouTube underneath the broadcast. Just some housekeeping before we start. For those in the building, we're not expecting a fire drill, so if the fire alarm does go off, please follow officers to the fire exits out of the building to designated meeting points. And for those in the room as well, please switch off your wonderful mobile for at least half an hour to an hour, or put it on silent if you do need to take emergency calls. Also, for those watching via YouTube, if you're so minded, you can complete one of our residents' feedback forms. These can be found in the information section underneath the YouTube video. These forms are intended to help us improve the way that we run our meetings. We will start today's meeting with apologies for absence.
So this evening we've had apologies for absence from Councillor Garlick with Councillor Barry Nelson-West substituting, from Councillor Tuckwell with Councillor Cawthorne substituting. We've also had apologies from Councillor Davies, and it's noted that Councillor Money is running a little bit late. He's stuck in traffic.
Okay, thank you. For those in the room and for those watching on YouTube, I will do my usual. I'll go round the room for those to introduce yourselves. I won't make the witnesses introduce yourselves, but just for officers and councillors, please. As I said, I'm Councillor Keith Burrows and I'm Chairman of the committee.
Councillor Alan Chapman.
Councillor Philip Cawthorne.
Danielle Stanley-Watts, School Travel and Road Safety Officer.
Lisa Mayo, School Travel and Road Safety Manager.
Councillor Nelson West.
Councillor Kamalpreet Kaur.
And I'm Steve Clark, the Democratic Services Officer for this committee.
Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest before this meeting? None declared. Thank you. Move on to agenda item 3, to receive the minutes of the previous meeting of 18th of October. I'll do my usual, go page by page. If you have any amendments, please indicate. Page 1, 2, 3, 4, page 5, 6, page 7. Everybody happy? Can we take those accurate recording of that meeting? Thank you. Right, now we move on to agenda item 4, to confirm that the items of business marked part 1 will be reviewed in public. Business marked part 2 will be reviewed in private. I can say that all items being considered this evening are in part 1 and will be part of our YouTube broadcast and the whole meeting public. At this point, I welcome Councillor Money to the meeting. That's fine. We now move on to the main reason we are here, which is agenda item 5, which is a select committee review into the Council's road safety initiatives and activities around the borough schools, and this is our second witness session. The reason we hold the witness sessions are so that us as a committee can get some idea of what we're looking at and any recommendations that we may be able to take back to the Cabinet through our select committee report. And I'm very pleased this evening that we have pupil representatives from St Helens College. We've got Raiden Babara and Charlie Green. Welcome to both of you, and you'll be speaking very shortly. We also have Sharon Cargill, Leo Harrington, Raina Ramatul Butler from Grange Park. Leo and Sharon are representatives from St Helens College, so welcome to all of you as well. And also welcome to the parents of the children we've got here this evening, because without you they couldn't come, so thank you for bringing them in and allowing them to address us as a committee. I will remind the councillors that the witnesses will speak first. The children are going to speak first, so that if they wish to leave after their representation, the parents wish to take them, then we will allow them time to go, depending on what the time is. It's just gone 7. But if you are going to ask any questions, please indicate, And also, do not try and make them ward specific. It's based on what we're looking at across the borough schools and what we're going to be told by the witnesses. We also have, obviously, Lisa and Danielle here as well, and I'm sure that we'll have some more questions for you, like we did the other month also. So I'm going to hand over to Charlie and Raiden. I understand from speaking to them prior to the meeting that they are going to interact and do it between them. So it's over to you two. As I say, remember when you're going to speak, just push the button, the red light will come on. When the other one's going to speak, just switch your microphone off and the other one switch their on. Okay? So it's over to you.
Good evening. My name is Raiden.
And my name is Charlie.
Thank you for inviting us to tell you about our JTA programme at St Helens College. We can talk you through what we have done over the past year and what we will be doing in the coming future.
The first thing that we've done, and this is probably our main achievement, was our Dragon's Den pitch. And we launched a comic strip competition for all years in St Helens College from years 2 to 6. And it was one of our main events, and we made prizes. We've made comic books for the children who won, and we're giving them a road safety box with helmets and high-vis jackets. As well as the Dragon's Den, we also won an award in West London for top influencer, and we went down to the Kennington Oval and we received an award there.
Some of us had an idea to write a letter to Blue Peter to propose introducing a new road safety Blue Peter badge to raise awareness within the younger community. We created some eye-catching designs to send with the letter. Unfortunately, they denied our great idea. However, they think that our work is great and we should keep going with what we do. We are hoping that you all may be able to help persuade them. In the future, for our future ideas, we are currently taking part in a drawing competition organised by the STARS team. The children have been invited to draw their own invention that could help congestion and road safety. We are also doing another event on the 7th of December, which is Christmas Jumper Day, where children will be encouraged to walk to school using the pathways and on the Park and Stride map. Some parent volunteers and teachers will escort some children to school using the pathways if this is a challenge to their parents.
The next thing that happened to us is Kat and Danielle from STARS came in to talk to us about things that they've done and things that could be good for the Hillingdon Borough. And also we have regular meetings on Thursdays about different ideas that we want to do and different things that could happen. And we also have a loyalty card, Walk to School, which we had little stamps that we had a stamp, and if the children walked to school they would get a stamp, and if they did all 10 they would get a gold certificate, and if they did not all 10 they would get a bronze or silver award.
We have also hosted a Be Bright Be Seen Day, which was everyone needed to wear fluorescent, the brightest clothes that they have, so that everyone can dress up really bright at night so that the cars could see them. That was to raise awareness of if it was dark and the car couldn't see you, something dangerous might happen. We gave everyone a glow stick as well, so that we could all have fun. Last year we had previous JTAs as well. They had they had done speed camera awareness, which is where they had the police came and they could use the speed guns to check how fast the car was, and they looked at all if people were speeding, and if they weren't. Now a new JTA team has been appointed. They are going to carry on from what we have done. Hopefully they'll be really great too. We have a JTA box which will people will put suggestions in if they want something to do with road safety to happen, and we could try and make that work for them.
For the Blue Peter as well, we didn't just do the ideas and then send it in. We also, all 6 of the JTAs, so it's not just us 2, there's 4 other JTAs who are also part of all of these ideas. It's not just us 2. We wrote a whole all 6 of us, we wrote a Blue Peter letter, and it had ideas of why we want this to happen and why we think it would be good for Blue Peter.
So thank you for your time and listening to us, and I hope and I'm grateful for the fact that you've listened to all of our ideas and what you've done, and the fact that you've helped us as well.
Yes, thank you very much for listening.
I have to say that was a brilliant presentation, and you are doing a lot of things at St Helens. In my day as cabinet member, you used to as well. And in my day, this is how far back it's going, you were JRSOs then. Now you're JTAs. They're changing it again, aren't they? Changing the name again. Explorers. Great. Sounds like they're going up a mountain rather than trying to do road safety. Councillor Cawthorne, you indicated.
I did. Can I just congratulate Charlie and Raiden for their excellent presentation. Really is quite something to have you here and to have your input. Thank you very much indeed. Introduction to local democracy, call it, and I hope you've got getting something out of it as much as we have. I've got a couple of questions for you actually. I'm just interested in, you're doing some great things clearly, but I just wonder, are you able to say anything about the actual impact and the benefit perhaps that you're starting to see, or is it perhaps a little bit too soon to see some of those benefits?
Well, I think I see a few more people walking on the way to school, and I think we have encouraged them, some of them at least, by what we do, and I think that's why most people have wanted to become JTAs, because I think they like what we're doing, and they want to carry on with that as well.
Also, with the new JTAs, we had like over 20 people that Mr. Harrington had to decide only 6 of them. And even if it's not walking from home, they might park their cars just a bit further back from school and walk just a tiny bit to get them on their feet and make sure they're aware of what's happening to other people who have to be walking every day.
I'm bringing in Mr. Harrington.
Can I just a supplementary, if I may. Thank you very much for that. I love your enthusiasm, and I think if there's one thing that really can make a difference, it's the involvement in the enthusiasm of pupils in influencing adult behaviour. That's very important, I think. Just one further question, and that's, you talked about some of the things you perhaps like to do that you think would really add benefit. Can you perhaps name one that you think would be relatively straightforward that we could possibly take forward that might make a difference?
We could. Quite a hard question.
Don't worry too much. That's fine.
Do what they do at council. Say to the councillor, "I will give you a written answer."
budget?
I'll try and think about it, and then when I do, I'll tell
That'd be
Mr.
lovely.
Harrington, and then he.
And may I just say, if you'll indulge me, Chairman, I tried writing to Blue Peter when I was your age and I didn't get anywhere, so be persistent because you're doing some great work. Thank you.
Councillor Corby, you indicated.
Thank you, children, for coming. It was amazing listening to you for all you've done. Can you share some ideas that you shared with Blue Peter? Can you share those ideas with us as well? Thank you.
So we try to get more people involved in road safety. That's why we did it to Blue Peter, because Blue Peter's quite big. So if people watch it, then they'd know about road safety, and then road safety would impact everyone. They could get it by showing all the different signs of the road and about the green cross code. But there were ideas to get the badge, but we would try to
Obviously with these designs, this is what we wanted them to do with the badge, and if any other people had any other ideas towards it, we'd be open to hear what they would do and how they would change it. But it was a bit disappointing that they didn't want it, but we can always try again next year.
Supplementary, Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Chair. What would you say to mummies and daddies listening to you? What should they do to help kids learn about road safety?
I think they should maybe help the road safety. They could maybe help the child maybe wear slightly brighter clothes, especially when it's nearing the night time. We have made a parent parking pledge, so we did this in year I think last year on open day, an exhibition day. The JTAs gave them out to the parents, so the parents would stick these on our car to show that they wouldn't park in the wrong places, and the parents will they pledged that they would park in the right places and not defy any rules. We wanted everybody to, these are like ones that you can stick in your car, so we wanted people to be aware of this, and we wanted to make sure, even if you're not your child's not at St Helens, other people can see this, so they can get ideas for, I don't know, their school, or they can look at this and be like, oh, maybe I'm doing something in the wrong here. Maybe I should change what I'm doing and park in the correct spot and making sure I'm travelling safely.
I still come back to the fact that you two presented so well on behalf of your school, and you should be proud of what you've done this evening. It's not easy when you're asked to come in and speak to councillors, and I used to run the Dragon's Den as well when I used to be a cabinet member, and I used to try and say to them, look, pretend I'm not here at all, although they were asking me for money, but, you know, they did get it half the time. I have got a question, though, for our officers. Let's put the officers on the spot. Have some of these ideas ever been pitched at the London Road Safety Council so that they could pick up and disseminate some of these ideas into other schools? Because some of these ideas are far-fetching and they're really good, really good.
So the London Road Safety Council, since one of the clerk left, is actually in the limbo. It's great, thank you. It's in limbo a bit. It's probably not the best place for this sort of sharing, but definitely we'd like some sort of pan-London thing again, but that doesn't really happen anymore. So we're now with the STARS programme, there's probably a lot more. They've set up a SharePoint with all of the boroughs, and hopefully that will start to come back again, where we can do some idea sharing. But I did note down about the Blue Peter badge that I'm going to send an email to all of the London boroughs to see if we can do a JTA London-wide letter to Blue Peter and just say we don't accept your refusal of this, and we'd like to see it forward. And I think together we could probably do something really nice, if you're willing.
The BBC are very protective of their Blue Peter badge. They come in the standard white.
They haven't met St Helens College yet.
No, they haven't met you yet, Lisa. They come in the standard white, I think, and they've got a gold, haven't they? They've got a gold Blue Peter badge. But they are very protective of its design, 'cause it is so specific. But I can't see why a programme that is designed and aimed at children wouldn't want to raise awareness about road safety, because when I was a child, and there's probably people sitting around this table and don't deny it, we used to have the Green Cross Code advert come on telly, and it was the same person that done that was a Jolly Green Giant as well, for the Jolly Green Giant corn adverts. But we used to have that as children. That disappeared, so there is really no sort of specific advert or outlet about road safety in a children's programme.
What's interesting is in 2025, every school is planned to have a climate action plan, and as part of that, every school is supposed to have a sustainability lead in the school. We've already ahead of the game with that with some of our schools like Rainer and Leo, who are already school travel plan leads. It will probably kind of come into the same sort of area. So maybe we can go down that route of saying, well, if schools have to have a climate action plan and they have to have a sustainability lead, why are we not having maybe we rename it as a sustainability badge, and we get your eco warriors on board and the travel ambassadors and whatnot. So that might be a good idea to move forward with it.
Councillor Coulson.
Yeah, indeed. I'm sure we'll question them later on, but that's fine. So I don't wish you ladies could answer this, but my experience of working with schools in my own ward, I won't name names, but should we just say some are better and more willing than others to engage on this? There are some who aggressively think their responsibilities end at the front gate, and they have no wider responsibility for road safety from within the school community. And of course parents form a key part of that. So I just wonder whether there are any levers that are available to local authorities, given that schools are independent entities at the end of the day, to try and spread good practice and to encourage more proactiveness around this key area. Is there anything you can share about that?
So we were actually talking about I hate to say it again, but pre-COVID, we did do an event every year where we invited all the schools in to share best practice, to give awards out, to recognise good work. I know TfL, the STARS programme, do that London-wide, but it's definitely something that our team want to bring back, if not this school year, the next school year, and every year after that, because people like Rainer, like Leo, and there's a number of other schools that are just brilliant, and they really do just take everything that we offer and put it out there, and it's only the children that miss out at the end of it if they don't take on what we're offering. So we won't stop offering to every school, but you're right, it's harder to get into other schools than some, but yeah, it's definitely something we'll continue to do.
Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Chair. Lisa, I just wanted to understand, because as Councillor Cawthorne said, some schools are willing and they're doing what they're supposed to do, like these schools you've mentioned. So if we can pinpoint what they're doing and what's working for them, or for all the different schools that are willingly doing what they're doing, can we then come up with something that if this has worked for these schools, and send that out to other schools? Just post them out so they know which one will work for them. Just as an example, like these schools in Hillingdon are doing this, but rest of the Hillingdon schools can pick and choose what would work for them for road safety? Thank you.
Yeah, so that's basically what the STARS programme is. It's everybody's got access to it. The school can choose whether they make certain pictures private, obviously because of GDPR and stuff, but it's on there for people to see, and Danielle might want to jump in after this, but every school that we go to, every school has specific needs, and which is what Danielle and Kat do when they go into the schools. They go into the school, they assess the situation, they find out what the problems around that school are, and then we'll build the travel plan with them based on those specific needs. Some schools have, every school has a problem with parking, but some schools may have, they might be on a main road and they've got more of a safety concern around speed, whereas the other one might not. They might be on a 20-mile per zone and it's in a dead end. They don't have those sorts of issues. So we will always go in and be very specific with each school and help them build what we can with them. We have generic campaigns and projects that we run every year that everybody's invited to, but every school will have our assistance to say, what is it that you need and how can we help you? And yes, this school has done this. I know that there's been times in the past where schools have spoken to each other and teachers are willing to speak to each other, but I do think, again, that sharing best practice at the end of the school year or the beginning of a school year, whichever works, will be really, really useful. So it's definitely something we're looking at already.
I'm conscious that, Raina, you've got to leave by a certain time. So if Sharon and Leo don't mind, if we can bring you in, Raina, so you can talk about your school, what you're doing. Now, I don't know whether the pupils still want to stay or if mums want to take the pupils off. If they're happy to stay, then we're happy for them to remain here. I can see one of them, Charlie's nodding. So if they're happy to stay and you're happy for them to stay here, then that's fine. Okay. So if I can come to you, Raina, and then we can get any questions out of the way, and Leo and Sharon, we come back to you in a second, okay?
I can be a bit flexible, so if they want to carry on, they can. That's okay? Okay. First of all, well done, you two. That was amazing. I'm not sure how I'm going to live up to that. Yeah, it really is. So just to introduce myself, so my name is Raina Ramptell Butler. I'm currently the acting deputy head at Grange Park Junior School. I came from Hayes Park School, which was just down the road, and I was there for about 10 years. I'm also a fourth-year PhD student at Brunel University, studying for a doctorate in education. So all links. My previous roles at Hayes Park, and this is relevant because the majority of my JTA experience, JRSO to begin with, was at Hayes Park. And the majority of that included, one of my responsibilities, was wider opportunities. So school council, JTAs, and involving children in those wider projects. So that's why the JTAs was a big project for myself. I did it in Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2. So we had MRSOs at the time, and JRSOs, which obviously then led to JTAs, which I now found out were going to be explorers. Sorry, didn't know that. That's fine. To change all my branding. But yeah, so it's a bit about myself. So with those projects, I was able to lead to 2 accreditations linked to that. So we had the Schools Healthy Schools London status, and that's the gold status, and the TfL Stars gold as well. So all of those linked to that. The way we did JTAs at Hayes Park, and I'm talking about Hayes Park just because I only recently came to Grange Park, and I'm trying to replicate what I did there over here, so my experience to do JTAs is over there a bit more. And actually this will answer your question a bit better. The things that went well. So with anything to do with school leadership is a really important part, making children feel like leaders, like they're making a difference, which you two definitely are. It's making the role appealing. So we always asked the children to elect for their own representatives. So regardless of the role, the JTAs will be voted and be elected by a vote by their peers. So teachers never chose them. They had to do a speech and say, I want to be a JTA because I want to do X, Y, and Z. I will do this. I'm reliable. And that already started off that leadership role, and that was really important. Then what we did is always made sure that there was, I say we, so it was me, I'm going to take the credit. So then what I did is always made sure there was an incentive after they were elected in. So if they get this, you'll do X, Y, and Z. So for Pupil Parliament, our school council, we went to the House of Parliament. For the JTAs, we had things like John McDonnell came into our schools, have a meeting with them. We had our own radio station, so they got to interview John McDonnell about issues or concerns in the local area. It was all relevant, but it was bringing an external person to make that role desirable. Once that was done, over time, it became appealing. It became a role that children wanted to do. So that bit was the first step, making it an appealing role. Otherwise, what's the point? What's their purpose? And then we always shared an end goal as well. So we are aiming towards this accreditation. These are our steps. You're effectively sharing an action plan with the children. And then again, that makes them leaders in this role. Once you've got them to be leaders, that's what made it easier, because you can always cascade the job role. So you're delegating more tasks. So to begin with, when I started it, I worked with Kat, Danielle and Lisa and said, right, what do I need to do? Came up with what we need to do, and then I looked at which projects were the most doable. And a lot of things we did were things like ask the JTAs to then go back to their class and sell 3 different projects which I knew were doable, but made them feel like it was their choice. But then they voted. So their peers would vote for which project they want to work on. They'd come back to me. And that's already one task that took a week. So it's setting those short, sharp, realistic tasks, which again gives them that autonomy over the projects we were doing. That's one thing. And it gives them a sense of responsibility, and it holds them to account for their leadership role. And then it's things like giving them a presence. So by giving them the badge, which was always provided by TFL Stars, so giving them a badge, we had our own website page, we had a blog page, anything to do with parental engagement. They led their own assemblies, made whole class videos, collecting pupil voice, letting them be part of the result finding and decision making. Again, that presence made them feel, right, this is my role, I'm going to take it seriously. Once the children were on side, that made the job 10 times easier. There were barriers, and as we've said to Lisa and Daniel in the past, it's getting the staff to do it. Now, I was always I still am. I'm passionate about this role, and wider opportunities is almost my thing. I love providing wider opportunities. So I was able to give up my lunch times. I was able to make these little videos after school and put on the website. But it's getting staff to do that, because considering how much teachers have to do in school, and then you're saying, by the way, here's a big project to go and make this happen, it's hard when you're prioritising, curriculum-based stuff. Yes, wider opportunities is equally as important, but depending on the school and its setting, their priorities are different. So that's one thing. Funding is always going to be an issue, but especially for certain schools. And like, just seeing what you guys have done is absolutely fantastic. But I'm thinking, so the schools that I've worked in haven't always had the budget to get a scooter and say, oh, if you do this, you win a scooter. We didn't have the budget for that, or to make badges to put on cars for Park and Stride. So budget has always been a thing. So we've had to be creative. So an example of how we've done that is when we did a competition, I think it must have been to walk to school, we arranged for our external sports coach to do an extra fun sports PE session with the winning class. So it didn't affect our budget. But that has been a massive barrier, because where do we magic up these incentives and these prizes from? So it depends on an individual to be creative. And getting staff on board. But once you have got them on board, I think it's okay. This is all relevant, because when I moved to Grange Park Junior School, I remember meeting with Kat, and I said, right, okay, I went from being the gold status, having this perfect system in place, and now I'm starting from scratch. And sometimes the model can be replicated, just like you asked, how do we get other schools to do it? But it can't be replicated if you don't have the adult who's willing to give up their time to do this for the children. And that's unfortunately a personality trait. So I'm not sure how we source that. Part of the interview question for teacher jobs, maybe. But useful things, and I have to give credit to the STARS team over here. So the things that have worked really well as an incentive, as an initiative, all those things. Dragon's Den, fantastic. I know it's obviously shifted over time and COVID, etc. But it was the best event. It was one of the things where the children would say, oh, we're a JTA now, so we get to go to the Dragon's Den event. That was massive. It was really well organised, I have to say. And it gave them those leadership skills to present something and speak to an audience and prepare them for events like this. Workshops, Brunel's involvement. As a student there myself, being able to sort of see the link, it's been wonderful, it really has. Companies like the Riot Act, getting them to come to school to do drama activities based on road safety. Pedestrian training, I've had loads here, I'll just list a few more. So the TFL team to come in and meet the children, I would regularly do that and say, okay, can you come in, just make them feel a bit special and talk about road safety to come up with the next project? Because having somebody other than their day-to-day teacher makes a difference. The online portal, you have to get your head around it because there's so much on there, but in a positive way. And I put down here, Danielle, Kat and Lisa, you've always been completely available, and I would say if you weren't, but you really have been available and willing to help, especially when I started at my new school and thought, where do I start? I'm starting from scratch again after all these years. But to summarise, what I'm trying to say is, there's so much potential with the JTAs, but it can't be done without the right member of staff, and that, I think, is the biggest barrier, and it's not one that can be fixed unless you source those people who really want to get involved in giving their lunchtimes up to do this. The resources is an issue, but it can be done well if you've got the right teacher who can think creatively and out the box. My suggestion, and it linked to, I'm not sure who said this, but I thought about it, so I thought, I've mentioned these things, but what could be useful? Now, when I did it, I did one project per half term. So by the end of the year, you'd have 6 really good projects that the children have led. What could work well is if you've got schools together. So if I teamed up with Hayes Park, for example, who I still have good relationships with, and we took it in turns, like I say, I'll do the autumn term, you do the spring term, and we led projects together, then you've got the support for teachers, and you've got, it's easy, it's less work for just one person, because it can be a lonely job if you're doing it for yourself, by yourself, for those children. But that's my only suggestion. But I don't think there's anything else the TFL stars can do, because they've given all the information, they've provided it as much support as possible. It's now getting the schools to access what they can do and deliver it. So I hope that's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Well done. Those two certainly were a difficult act to follow. So you've done very well. Can I just ask you, though, because the select committee, obviously we've heard some brilliant suggestions from here, and that would be something that we'll be looking at and will probably be mentioned in the final report. But we are specifically also looking at road safety outside schools. So outside your current school, what do you think your main issues are? And I'll be asking St Helens exactly the same question. What do you think currently your main issues are outside your current school?
Perfect question, because that was the first project we did at Grange Park Junior School. So the first thing that we identified straight away was outside the school gates. We've got the main school gate where our infant school and junior school both access, and it's residents. So where our school's positioned, the gates are here, and it's the classic parents driving in, sort of looping round, blocking driveways, and it was identified very quickly. So we actually based last year's drag and den pitch on that. So we pitched for funding, which we successfully got, which was great, so thank you very much. And we ordered road signs with children holding little signs saying, stop, don't park here, please, or I'm not sure what they say, or think before you park. So that's the issue that was identified, and we've already done something about it, because what we found is that, and I've written this here, residents are continuously raising concerns, and the children are limited to what they can do, because parents are saying X, Y, and Z, which we completely understand. However, it is off our site, and we can't enforce parents to not park somewhere outside of our school gate. So we have addressed it. The children have been involved, and we're hoping parents listen to children rather than us, which I think is actually the case. And in my previous school, we had signs made, and in the morning they held signs that said, please don't park here, or think before you park, and that worked effectively as well. So that is our issue, and I think it continues to be an issue across many schools in Hillingdon.
Thank you. Councillor Cawthorne.
Thank you, Ray. That's an excellent presentation. You clearly do some great work, and you're clearly enthused about what you do. You talked about the reluctance of staff to take on this kind of role, and I wonder if part of that might have something to do with the fact that difficult conversations need to be had sometimes with parents whose behaviour on occasions is at least something to be desired, shall we say. And I just wonder whether perhaps with the homeschool agreement route there is perhaps an opportunity to set out your expectations as a school community in terms of how parents should approach the school in vehicles and park and all the rest of it, even when they've got day jobs to go to. And I just wonder, is that something you look at? Is there mileage in that sort of idea? Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. So as a member of SLT, that's the SLT's role. So if a parent is complaining about something to do with parking, or a resident is, that's an issue with SLT. And the JTAs is specifically for the projects that the children do. So what I try to do is combine the two. So I think, parents are complaining about this, so we do that. In terms of how we respond to residents, or residents complaining about parents parking or stopping wherever they are. Again, we're limited, so we respond via email, we put information on the newsletters, we even put things on our website saying, well, we do ask parents to park elsewhere because you're blocking residents' driveways. So we communicate to our capacity, but we are limited to what we can do. But that is an SLT thing, so we address residents and parents separately. Thank you.
Councillor Court.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted, you mentioned that Lisa and her team are doing really as best as they can. Is there anything else you think we as council can do to support the schools besides what they are doing in making the roads safer or the communities around schools safer? Do you think there's something that we can pitch in as a council?
The biggest thing, and I don't know the answer to this, it's you tell schools, how do we stop parents from parking on land that doesn't belong to the school? And because we can't legally enforce it, so inform schools, tell them what the guidance is. It was a couple of weeks ago, my head and I started Googling the highway code to find out what's the rule about. I think it was a 3-point turn somewhere. But inform us, so let schools know what are their rights, what can they say, what should they do if there's an argument between a parent and a resident complaining about blocking a driveway, because as we see it, we have to protect our staff and our children. We can't argue in front of the children. So what do we do apart from address things as diplomatically as possible? So the best thing you could do is inform us, give us the knowledge and information we can do to deliver it well. Thank you.
I saw Lisa typing then. It's okay, I've already spoken to the clerk. It's one of our recommendations. It is difficult, I agree with you. It's extremely difficult around school areas. When I was cabinet member, that was one of the biggest things that would come my way about parking during term time. Everybody loved it in the summer holidays. They thought it was great. Then all of a sudden, of course, the new term starts and the phone starts ringing again. So it is difficult, but that's something that we can look at and probably take on board. I just want to ask, Charlie, can we just have a look at your pledge sticker, please? Can we see what it looks like? Do you want to bring it up here? This might be something we can promote.
The pledge stickers actually are part of from the STARS team.
Oh, it is part from the STARS team, it is, yeah.
But each school runs their own individual, what's the word I'm looking for?
Scheme.
Pledges, yeah. Like, you write your own pledges, yeah. So each school is different, specific to what their issues are.
And in that case then, can I ask, how many schools are using these?
We'll get back to you in writing.
I can add that is one of the main things that we offer to a lot of the schools that we meet with when we're talking about setting up a school travel plan, because as Raina rightly said, whenever we go to a school, 9 times out of 10 that is the reason we're meeting them, is because they've said to us, we've got an issue with parents parking. So the parent parking pledge is something, it's a great thing to do, because the parents aren't necessarily interested in having a sticker on their car. It's not what they want for, but when the kids are saying, Harry's mum has got a sticker on their car, why haven't you got a sticker, then it becomes more about that conversation of, well, the school are watching how we're driving, whether we're parking across driveways, whether we're doing 3-point turns. And as Lisa said, it's a borough-wide scheme that we offer, but we put it back to the school to say, is there anything specific that you want within the pledge? So, for example, if they've got a voluntary one-way system, which we do have schools in the borough that do, then we put the map in there as well. We've put the walking zone map that we've promoted within that pledge as well. So it's a really great thing to do. And I think initially schools kind of go, well, the parents aren't going to listen to this. But actually, when it's a seen to be doing task, so it is where parents go, well, actually the school is responsible for us outside. Because like you say, there's very little you can do. But by the school doing this, it shows them that they're taking an interest, essentially.
A question from Charlie and Raiden. Since you've been running your pledge for your school, have you noticed a difference in the numbers of parents that are no longer parking right up to the gate or near enough at the gate, and you have got a lot more parking further back and walking in?
Well, I've definitely noticed a lot of the school's parents, but all of the school's parents have almost everyone has stopped it because there's a very thin lane to where our school is, and it's stopped lots of parents. But we are starting to notice other people who aren't from our school start parking down there, so that causes a lot of congestion.
Also, it was I think it was last year, so I think a lot of kids as well, they wanted a sticker on their car, so their parents did look into it, and I think it did help. That did help a lot, and there's a lot less congestion. People used to, because they used to do, they dropped their kids in the car. From the car, if their parent was busy, they just dropped them. So we've tried to stop that because it's blocking everyone's driveways and people from getting out. So I think that has also helped a little bit with that too.
Yeah, with the picking up, we used to have every single parent, and it would queue back to the end of the road. Then when people were trying to get out, it just got overwhelming and very busy.
But now it's changed.
Sorry, can I just add something to that? Because I think this refers back to something that Councillor Cawthorne touched on, and might give you a bit of kind of stats to go with this. So obviously, as part of the travel plan, every year the schools are required to do a hands-up survey. So that tells us and TfL how the children are travelling to school, whether they're coming by car, public transport, walking, cycling, scooting. It's quite sort of in-depth. And just to give you some comparisons, so for St Helens College, we have a travel plan from 2018, and we've got one 2023 in March. And in that time, they've had a 35% decrease in car use and a 17% increase in active travel. So although you can't specifically say whether that is because of the things that they've been doing, that's what the data is telling us, is that during that time that they've really been focusing on these campaigns and projects and things, that's the difference that they've shown, which is why, as part of the programme, they are gold accredited, because they've been recognised for that. And similarly, I've brought up Hayes Park, just because you've only just started with Grange Park, but 16% decrease in car use and 17% increase in active travel, and again, since 2018. So that's just to give you some sort of stats.
Thank you. I'll look forward to the written answer as well about how many are using the pledge stickers. Okay, any other questions before I bring in Sharon and Leo? I don't know which one wishes to speak first. Oh, Councillor Cora's got a question now.
I just wanted to say, because I think everyone is coming back to what we expect from the parents, just to play devil's advocate, as a parent who is in a rush, who has, as Councillor said, we have to go to work and everything, you just quickly want to drop your child off as close to the school as possible with no parking. So they think that they are stuck as well. So they, from parents' perspective, they will obviously come in with their own witness session and stuff. But what do you say as a STARS team or as people from the school? How do you tell them that? How do you encourage them that this is also the part of their responsibility? So, driving safely, road safety, dropping the kids to school. And how do they not see school or council or what you do as against them, rather than see that we are all on the same side, we all want the same things for our children? So how do we bring that on from all of your perspectives? Thank you.
From our side, we're not against car users. It's the reality of, parents have to go to work on onward school travel. We understand that, which is why Park and Stride is such a good option, because what we're doing is going just park away from the school gates where it's congested with children walking, and that's where it's the busiest. Step away from that area. What we've done is every single school in Hillingdon has a school walking zone map, and that was provided as part of our team. I can send you an example of one. We've got one, maybe they can pass it round, that would be great. So we do that. So it's encouraging parking stride. If you can't come out of your car, we understand. Just come away from the school gates. From a school perspective, as part of the school walking map as well, it does tell you the reasons why it's good to walk, why it's good to actively travel, the benefits of it. But even just that 5-minute walk doesn't have to be we understand catchment areas are huge now most of the time. But then there are some schools where people literally live a 2-minute walk away. It's actually quicker for you to walk to school than it is to get in your car, fight all of the traffic, fight all of the parking, turn around and get out again. So it's all behaviour change. Until that becomes embedded in their mindset, it won't change. And you're always going to get those parents that say, I'm just in front of your driveway for 2 minutes and I'm only going to be, but it's 2 minutes too long. So it's just trying to make those gentle changes and explaining fairly why we're doing it. And ultimately, it's the children's safety, which is why we've got the zigzag lines and they're enforced now. But that's from a council perspective. I don't know if you're...
From a school perspective, I think we have to be very careful between informing and educating, if you like, parents versus telling them how to parent, such as why you're rushing in the morning. And you've got to be really careful and sensitive about that as well. Everyone's different. So I think it's understanding the provisions of the school as well. So, for example, if we had a parent who was always in a bit of a rush and we acknowledged that or we were aware of that, we have a breakfast club and we'd invite them in. And if it meant that we paid for that, if it meant the child gets in safely and it's less pressure on the parent, we would do things like that. We also do coffee mornings every Tuesday for parents, and they're specific based on the content. So if it got to a situation where we found it was a really, really big problem and it was increasing, we would host a coffee morning to do with road safety, again, to educate parents and say, by you doing these, this is the danger, your child's in danger, these are the solutions, we can help you with X, Y, and Z. But it is tricky. We can't always tell parents what to do, but we can inform and offer solutions. But whether a parent takes that, that's a different story. Thank you.
I'm going to bring in either Sharon or Leo. I don't know who wants to go first.
Sharon's been doing this a lot longer than me, but I don't mind going first.
Okay, we'll hand over to you, and then we'll fire the questions at you so Sharon gets an easier time.
No problem. Well, just want to say how proud I am of Raiden and Charlie for speaking to you. That when we had to ask a couple of children, they were the two that first came to mind. Although any of the JTAs, current JTAs, would have been great speaking. So thank you, you two. I'd like to echo what Raina said about the STAR team. They've been absolutely fantastic. They're very approachable. If I contact them, they get back to me quite quickly. They've been into school a few times to drop things off or to have a chat with the children, and they've been brilliant. So thank you as well. When I started at St Helens just over a couple of years ago, I took on head of assessment, director of co-curriculum, head of sport, and then I found out that I was the head of the JTAs as well, which actually sometimes it can be a bit time-consuming with meetings and everything and uploading bits and pieces, but it's probably my favourite meeting of the week. I know when they said there was over 20 applicants to be a JTA, and you said, how do I choose them? Well, they actually had to write a job application or fill in a job application form for me about things that they've done and why they'd be a great JTA, and I went through them all, and I selected. That's how I selected. I selected the best 6 applicants on paper, and I haven't been disappointed the last sort of 3 years. They've all been excellent. I think that with the Blue Peter idea, I think it actually came from Raiden. And the team ran with it and all got involved, and I think that the team have been brilliant in the last few years, even before my time. Some of you will remember Sharon Walker, who's worked with the council a lot and the STARS team, and so I came in at a point where we're already gold accredited, and I was like, okay, don't mess this up. But actually, I've been very fortunate that the teams that I've been working with, and they always come up with great ideas, and they've spoken in many assemblies, and come up with lots of ideas. Some which were a lot easier, like Be Bright, Be Seen, which were suggested, but obviously some that were our own ideas. And with the parking pledge, when we had our school open morning, Charlie and Maiden were leading the line by, I wouldn't say accosting parents, but speaking to parents and saying, have you signed the parking pledge, and actually getting them to do it there and then. So they would fill in a Google form, they'll read what was on the parking pledge and actually sign up to it through their email, and they would not get a sticker until they had done that. And I would say that they probably got over a quarter of the school, which was... We had a QR code so they could fit it in, and it was brilliant. And one of the ideas was that if there was ever an incident with the parents, actually we don't have many incidents with parents, to say, oh, you've actually signed our parking pledge, what are you doing, basically. But the parents have been great. On top of, I think it was been alluded to already, we have a drop off and go in the morning, which seems to work because there aren't lots of cars parked out there before 8 o'clock. But in the afternoons, it would be pick up and go, which would be an absolute nightmare. So there'd be cars all the way down the road, but we disbanded that last year. And the parents were a bit cross about it to begin with, but again, I think that it's working brilliantly. They're all finding other places to park, and it's reduced the congestion down the road massively. When you talked about how do you get more schools involved, okay, yes, it can be time consuming. It's about finding the right person. Okay, obviously someone was doing it before I took the role, and I came in and it sort of fell into my lap. But I think what would be a good idea is to get senior leadership teams more involved, because you talked about funding and all these events that we've run. We've barely spent any money, if any, on the stickers, on the cards. It's all been through Dragon's Den. It's been through applying for grants for this and that. And we're currently last year we applied for a grant to put up a new bike and scooter shelter, which is still in the process, but we've been given the grant and we're looking to put that in the next few months. But there's so many opportunities and so much. I didn't say there's too much money, but there's a lot of money that is available to schools to help them out, and I don't think that other schools are aware of it. And every time that something comes across our lap, we're like, yes, we'll get involved in that. Yes, we'll do this. Yes, we want to get involved. And they bring it to the team, and they say, oh yeah, well let's do this with this and this with that. And I think that there are so many opportunities for schools to get more involved and utilise what's available for them. We do the bikeability, which is hugely successful with our year sixes. The pedestrian training. We go to the Brunel, but there are so many advantageous things for the children. It's just getting someone to do it, and whether the senior leadership team could sort of coerce someone into giving it a go or working together. I'm very thankful that Sharon knew what she was doing anyway, and Sharon and I work really well together, and we're at all of the meetings, and then if I'm not there or Sharon's not there, the meetings still run. But yeah, I think there's still plenty of opportunities for other schools, and maybe getting sort of the leadership team involved more and explain what's available to them could really help them.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Cole?
What do you think is the biggest put-off for the senior leadership team for not getting involved, besides obviously the funding and other things or time pressures? Do you think or is there any way where it can be incentivized, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think that I don't know if it's an issue for the senior. I don't know whether it's an issue for the senior leadership team. I think it's finding the right person to want to do it. They don't have to be part. It just happens that we're both on the senior leadership team, but the person doesn't have to be involved in being on the senior leadership team at all. The difficulty is finding that person that's going to go, yes, I'm going to give it a go, and yes, I'll put some extra time in to do that, because I know that at lots of schools there are sort of, time is the biggest issue. And lots of teachers, whether it's marking, whether it's planning, whether it's doing this, that and the other, and yes, some teachers do want to leave as soon as the bell rings at 4 o'clock or whatever it is. So the biggest difficulty is finding someone to do that. There are so many rewards, as I mentioned, but I don't know how to make that clearer to head teachers, other than write to them and say, look at all of these things that are available to you this year, and go from there. But I think that might help. But I don't know if it's an issue with, as I said, the leadership team as such.
Can I start? Okay. Following on from what you said, Leo, I do completely agree, and as a senior leader as well, it is a case of, and I think from what you're saying it's similar, if the senior leadership team are on board, that's great, but again, it's getting the right person, just like you said, to then deliver it. So where I was the person delivering it previously and did it well, I did have the support from senior leaders, as in I was given the thumbs up for everything. So now I'm the person that's saying, oh, this is here, try this, try that, to the person who's now leading it. It's just supporting them, I think. But again, it goes with, have they got the time, and are they doing it, and how I think it is an individual thing as well. So I do completely agree. But your thing about all the funding, I didn't realise there's so many grants available. I've put that down on my thing. But it goes to when I said about schools working together. So for example, we work together and create projects together and inform each other about events, I think that could work with other schools in the borough if you put them up in teams, so it's not isolated projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Leah? No? Thank you for presenting as well. Sharon, is there anything you would like to add to what Leo has already said?
Just to echo really what Leo has said, I'm not actually a member of the SLT at our school. I'm the school business manager, so as part of my remit I look after health and safety, and I think that maybe perhaps other business school managers with their health and safety hats on could be brought into looking at road safety as part of their remit. I certainly get a lot out of it. It's a very enjoyable part of my role, actually working with the children, because a lot of what I do actually doesn't involve working with the children, looking after the premises and looking after HR and compliance, which are all quite boring and and grey subjects to look after. So I really get a lot out of working with these incredible children who have so many wonderful ideas that we don't often have enough time to cram everything in. But we do have a very supportive SLT as well, so I know that I can go to our senior leadership team with the ideas that the children are putting forward and pitch those ideas to the adults and tell them what the benefits are going to be to the school. One of the things that the council did do for us was to put in some parking restrictions in the road leading up to our school, which initially was very successful because people saw the yellow lines and they saw the parking restriction signs. But when they realised that there was no consequences of breaking those rules, that very quickly diminished. And I think my question to the councils would be, could we have something put in place to make sure that parking wardens are patrolling those areas and making sure that those parking restrictions are being enforced? Because when we have rung the council to say we've got a number of people who aren't necessarily school parents, as the children alluded to, flaunting those parking restrictions with no consequences. We're told that parking wardens do patrol those areas, but we don't actually physically see parking wardens coming down our street. And I think if a few people did start to get parking fines, then it might put them off actually breaking the rules. But again, I will echo what everybody has said, that the support that we get from the STARS team is amazing, and we wouldn't be able to do what we do without their support and all the resources that they provide to us, which makes my job a little bit easier. But it's a really enjoyable part of my role as business manager at St Helens. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Chair. To all of you, if you think of something that we as council, when you go back and sometimes we could have done this or that, please do write into Lisa and the Chair and let us know whatever we can, because the idea is to make it safer for everyone. So if there's anything that we have missed or you have missed that you want to echo, and please do that. Thank you.
Councillor Cawthorne.
This time, I'd like to thank everyone for their input this evening. I'm a substitute member of this committee, so not a regular attendee, but I've got a great deal out of the discussion that will have applications in the area I represent. And while I'm talking, can I just thank also the STARS team for their work in my ward. And I know it's not ward specific, but I know you've been very busy at a unnamed school in my ward, and the benefits are starting to come through. So well done for your work there and across the borough. Thank you.
I was always congratulating the STARS team, and they deserve to be congratulated all the time. So personally, I actually think they're one of the best STARS teams across London, by far, because they're so dedicated to what they actually do, and they work so well together, and they work so well with the schools. Also, we have to remember that we are one of the highest car ownership boroughs in London, and that's why we've got so many cars. Although we've seen a few disappear because of a certain charge that's now in place, but we won't go there. As for Blue Peter, if I had a Blue Peter badge, I'd certainly give both of you a badge, but I never ever got one when I was a child. And I'm actually old enough to remember when Blue Peter was filmed in black and white, so there you go. That's how long I've been watching Blue Peter. But you two certainly deserve a Blue Peter badge. I hope that we can push your designs back to the BBC, but the BBC, as I've already said, are very protective of certain aspects of their history, and Blue Peter and the Blue Peter badge is one of the iconic symbols that the BBC own for a children's programme. But if they can't, then who knows, maybe it could be used London-wide or through STARS team or whatever your designs. So we'll have to see where they go. But certainly I like Lisa's idea that perhaps all of STARS teams across London should give a final push to the BBC and Blue Peter, because they need to be challenged. They represent children are coming to them with an idea and actually saying, well, look, you represent me because we watch you. Here is something you can really get involved with. So I really want to push that as far as we can go with that. I'd like to thank everybody for their input, but most definitely Charlie and Raiden. Brilliant. You've both presented very, very well on behalf of your school. So well done to the pair of you. The adults, thank you, obviously. But as I say, you two most definitely deserve the biggest congratulations of the evening. We've learnt a lot from you. Some of your ideas I've got written down here, and I think I saw a few times Lisa and Danielle typing away on their laptops there, so they're putting things in. And certainly Sharon, I saw, as you were saying about the enforcement, Lisa was very hurriedly typing away. So she thinks I can't see what she's doing, but I've got eyes everywhere as chairman. So thank you, all of you. Is there any other final questions, or are we all happy? We're all happy to close the witness session. Thank you once again for attending this evening. It's been absolute pleasure to have you in here. You can go back to school tomorrow, and I hope the whole school congratulate you. As I say, if they really want to, they can watch it on YouTube as well. So there you go, you're famous now. That's it, you're on YouTube. So well done. And thank you, officers, for attending and answering the questions we had for you. I'm sure at our next witness session we'll probably have you back again in January, because that will be our final witness session prior to us submitting the draft report and then going to the final report to Cabinet. But once again, take back our congratulations to the STARS team, because we've heard the praise you've got from the people you work with, and you're doing that on our behalf as the administration and as councillors. So take that back. You should be proud. So thank you. And once again, you two stars. As I said, if I had a blue Peter badge, you could have mine. But sorry. Okay, we'll take a slight break. If you want to leave now, you can leave now. So we will take a pause whilst you leave. Thank you.